Good morning. This is Tom Poole from Cloud Nation, and welcome to our webinar this morning, Delivering Applications Using Cloud Nation. Before we jump into our webinar, I just wanted to take a moment to thank some of our listeners there for your feedback. Today's webinar is actually a direct result of feedback from some of the listeners from our previous webinars that have said, you know what, when it comes to taking our clients into the cloud, typically there's a line of business application, and we need to really understand how that works with you guys. And so what we've done, working closely with Robert Christiansen, who is on the webinar with us today, who's our CTO, we've put together a webinar that kind of goes through in detail what works, what doesn't, and with no further ado, I think we'll just get started. So as far as our objectives today, basically what we do with every one of our webinars is we kind of frame the conversation with kind of going through and giving you a quick overview of the cloud, what's going on with the cloud, and then we jump right into how it's relevant to you. And today, again, we're talking about how to deliver your clients' line of business applications with Cloud Nation. We go through why deliver the applications, and then some of the parameters for working within the platform. We discuss pricing and billing of line of business applications, and then what we'll do is we'll talk a little bit how to use cloud-based line of business applications to actually grow your business. Before we get started, just a few housekeeping items is, number one is please feel comfortable asking questions. We save a few minutes at the end for Q&A. Ironically, in our last week's webinar, we had about 45 minutes of webinar, and then we went to Q&A, and I guess the topic was interesting enough that we actually had 45 minutes after that of Q&A with very little fall-off, and we appreciated all the questions. Next thing is the slide deck will be emailed to you, so no need to take notes on the contents. And then last, enjoy. This is we want to be respectful of your time. We want to deliver value, and we'll get this done on time and under budget, so you'll be on your way. Maybe what we can do here is I can lob it over to Robert Christiansen, who's our CTO, to talk a little bit about just cloud and cloud delivery for our resellers and MSPs, and what the options are today. Robert, could you help us out there?
Certainly. Thanks, Tom. So if you've been around the block a few times as a reseller, you understand that there's basically 4 options that you can do to deliver something from a cloud, or at least alleviate the need of an on-premise servers and applications that the customers are asking, do I need to buy this over again? You can build your own. Obviously, you can go to either have your own facilities or go to a co-location facilities and rack up your own hardware, software, build your own networking, that type of stuff. That's a fairly expensive and complicated project. And we all know that most resellers and guys who are certified with lots of background but could probably pull that off. The next way would probably be for you to engage some kind of hosting company and then kind of orchestrate your own environment. And the difference between that and building your own is that you're renting their hardware probably on a monthly or at least signing some lease agreement where that you're putting it together and you're writing on the back of them. And also, and again, they're not truly giving you a multi-tenancy environment, and you have to spend a lot of the complex time of building it out yourself and that expertise. You could do what people are called born in the cloud these days, and you can piece it together with cloud apps and solutions like Google Apps and Docs and perhaps Microsoft Office 365 and some BDR solutions, some email solutions, some virus protection. And you might be thinking of doing that now. It's a fairly economical process. However, it's definitely not a white label process. It's definitely not something that's a one neck to choke, single point of contact, community, that kind of thing. Or you can engage Cloud Nation and the private cloud platforms that are available here, where that you get a white label, single point of contact, turnkey solution to deliver your world. And we think we've really done a great job of listening to what you had to say and bringing you that valuable product. Tom?
Thanks, Robert. So before we go directly into the line of business applications and how they work, just a couple comments here. Number one is just looking at the current cloud model. One of the things that we see in continuous feedback we get from MSPs and resellers, as well as small, medium-sized businesses, is that right now what the entire market is looking for is an ecosystem. Right now you've got the major players, they're ready to sell their solutions, but there's not a frictionless way to get those solutions in the hands of SMBs. There's not necessarily an army of folks out there that know how to provide the integration services to make that happen. We're hearing from MSPs and resellers that, listen, their clients, their prospects are asking about the cloud, but they really don't know in many cases how to provide that solution or who that solution provider is. And then perhaps the most important here is we're hearing from small, medium-sized businesses that they're getting frustrated. They're getting frustrated because they would like to have somebody deliver a comprehensive solution, and they can't get anyone to talk about that. And so with Cloud Nation, that's really what we've done, is we've created that whole cloud ecosystem. An example I like to give is MP3 players. And there were certainly MP3 players out there before the iPod came out, but what the iPod did was eloquently put together an environment or an ecosystem that made it easy to grab music and to play music. And I think that that's what we've tried to do with Cloud Nation. The next thing is we've got a picture of a nice looking car here, and we say, really, is this what IT has become? And it really has. And where we're going with this is that IT has traditionally been an internally focused proposition. Most IT professionals work with servers and within companies, and really what's happening is now the IT manager is more like a supply chain manager. And where we're going with that is that as a consumer, when you go out to buy a vehicle, you buy a brand new car, your objective is to jump in that car, turn the key, put it in drive, and go. And the consumer really doesn't want to think about the fact that the chair that they're sitting in probably came from one provider, the radiator came from another, the battery came from another, and probably the brakes came from yet another. But what they want to do is they just want to go. And it's the same thing with IT these days, is most companies still have somewhat of a hybrid model where they have some on-prem and they have some what I would say SaaS or cloud-based applications, but it's really up to you as an IT professional to bring all of those applications together in one environment and make them work eloquently. Next thing is, what is the Cloud Nation platform? Essentially, the foundation of our platform is the ability to deliver an entire session or a virtual desktop that essentially is available on any device, anytime, is always backed up, and is always secure. Why virtual desktops? Well, there's a thing out there called BYOD that most of our listeners here today have heard of, and that's basically where you've got employees are showing up with their own applications. No longer do they come to work and sit down in front of a desktop and that's what they use when they do their business. They have their smartphones, they have their tablets, they have their laptops, which in many cases are more powerful than the standard issue that the company's got, and they want to use their own equipment. Well, if you're in IT, this creates a bit of a nightmare or an extra level of brain damage or complexity, because how do you control the company's information within that environment? And this is one of the things that we immediately solve with the Cloud Nation Virtual Desktop. Just because the information actually never lives on the devices. It lives in our secure data centers, and it's delivered to each one of the devices as an image, but not the actual data. And then the next thing that really helps out is that for so many of us, and in fact for me prior to going into a virtual desktop environment, is that I had information on my desktop at home, on my laptop, on my tablet, in some cases on my smartphone, and I was forever saying, how do I get to that information? It's my house on my desktop. And what the virtual desktop does is it immediately eliminates those data silos. So enough about kind of the cloud and what Cloud Nation is. I think what we're going to do here is, one more slide here, is we're going to talk a little bit about security and basically the security of the device. And this is really important for small and medium-sized businesses. Is once again, since the data never actually reaches that tablet that you see on the screen, it's just an image, that if that tablet falls in the water, or if you're at the airport and you're talking on the phone and you turn around and your tablet's gone, there is no issues with security. All you need to do is simply log in with a different device and pick up the session exactly where you left it. So maybe what I can do is I can pass the baton over to you, Robert, and we can kind of really get into this why line of business application stuff.
Thanks, Tom. You know, my background has been in SMBs for a little over 14 years, 13 and a half years. I was a founding member of All Bases Covered in 1999, eventually moved into All Covered. And so I've been involved with them, and one thing that is always striking is that very few SMBs have just what I call a turnkey desktop with Office and maybe a couple of small applications that are pretty easily installed and don't need configuring. A lot of them are very vertical focused, even down to 2 or 3 users. They'll have law applications and finance and health, et cetera, and stuff. So you have to deal with this. The 95% of them are going to have something special, and you as MSPs or resellers out there are very valuable in that configuration and holding that glue together of that line of business on an on-premise server. A lot of folks, you know, use Kaseya and various other applications to monitor and manage and reach in and use LogMeIn and all sorts of stuff to manage that on-premise, and you guys are really good at that. So those line of business applications are on there, and they need some, you know, care and feeding and BDR, et cetera. So the reality is that you're going to need to be able to continue to do that and continue to add value. So the virtual desktops, in effect, are just screens if they don't have the LOBs inside of the line of business applications delivered through them. It's kind of like a television, you know, big screen monitor. Great, you have an 80-inch monitor in your living room, but you have no cable. You got to have content, and the content of the line of business applications, and some of the, you know, obviously the horizontal applications like Office and that type of thing. And delivering those applications by resellers is really the ability to increase your client base, as you can deliver more of those line of business applications easier with less headache. That's where the opportunity is for the resellers in the cloud. How do you scale that and be able to centrally manage all your LOBs, your line of business applications and servers from a single point without having to worry about what a client does on site? It's a big deal. So next slide there, Tom. So the difference is, you know, what defines an LOB. If you are already doing any kind of special plugin for web-based or for on-premise, you know, like Act or Sage, or, you know, even higher-end accounting applications, CRM, ERP, manufacturing systems, EMRs, electronic medical billing systems, those type of things. You're doing a line of business applications for verticals. Anything with a SQL backend, you know, Windows clients, you know. So remember the old client-server days, and still, you know, a lot of ERP systems like Dynamics, AIX, and all have various requirements like that. And anything with this web-based that has a SQL backend, or any kind of backend system where there's a on-premise web front end that needs to be executed on an IIS server, or even with a Linux backend. These are all LOBs that the resellers have a long history of managing applications. So you guys have that specialty, and it needs to be addressed. And let's go to the next slide, Tom. So what's this Cloud Nation ecosystem really about? So this is a really what I call the defining difference between what we provide and everybody else. And it's really important, because you probably have gone out and looked and searched and decided, how am I going to do this? And what we've heard, and what we'll make sure that we reiterate here, is that the reseller manages their virtual servers. So you right now could go to Rackspace or somebody else and Amazon and say, hey, give me a VM. You can spin them up from a website. You can get your RDP connection in there, and you can load up some LOBs and stuff like that. And heck, you can even probably deliver those sessions through an RDP connection, and as long as they're really close to their data center and load balance, stuff like that. You might be able to pull that off, but you can't white label it. You can't put billing in front of it. You're going to have to build in all sorts of redundancy for offsite backups, for moving your clients' information. There's a lot that goes on. So what we do is we give you and put you local admin ability into a virtual machines within our infrastructure. So you can load those line of business applications that what I have highlighted in red there. You manage those servers, you customize them for your clients, and then you become that first level of support for that application. You reach into there and handle that stuff for them. You know, these are all Windows Server 2008 R2 templates that are available that are already pre-configured and ready to go to plug into our cloud. You can scale up the CPU and RAM, and there's lots of storage options available as well for those. So let's say that you get all that stuff done and you're able to put your LOBs together for a legal environment. And you say you got 30 or 40 legal clients and you'd like to standardize at least 2 or 3 groups of applications. What you do then is you plug into our white label platform, which is basically a Citrix XenApp cloud, and we support over 200 endpoint devices, tablets, Macs, thin clients, PCs, Androids, you name it. If it has a Citrix receiver plug-in for it, it's ready to go. And if you, any folks you do Citrix World, you understand. And that delivers your hosted desktop out with your line of business applications. We have over 250 virtualized applications that we deliver from a public pool, and we're more than happy to go over those with you if you don't, sort of, for example, like any of the Adobe products, that type of stuff. You know, appropriate licensing needs to be placed, and then obviously all the Microsoft products that we deliver as well. All the backup and threat protections included. You don't need to worry about that. We have a cloud portal service manager that sits over our multi-tenancy Active Directory, which allows you to add users to your specific application server and then deliver the security and protection you need without having to know the intimate knowledge of a AD structure of a large cloud delivery model. File shares and services, all those are available. And as you can see down this list, fully branding, billing, and provisioning platform. And we'll kind of go through that a little bit here, all the routing and firewalls, unlimited bandwidth for the desktops, you know, the 100 megabits per second burstable up to there. So it's all included. So these things you could put together yourself, but let me tell you, we have a full-time staff of a lot of folks managing that, and it's complicated. And it was expensive to put together. I know that you guys would rather spend your time doing the stuff on the left. So let's go to the next slide there, Tom. So which applications can we embrace? So hey, if you're already doing any kind of terminal services or multi-user IDP delivery on some Windows platforms, you know what you can and can't do. For example, there are products out there that simply don't play nice because of the registry keys for users. They didn't think about it to separate that stuff out appropriately. So you understand what you can and can't do under terminal services. We use the same platform to deliver that out. Web services, obviously any of the IIS and Linux-based stuff is all available and easily spun up for you. All SQL servers from web to enterprise standard, whether they're dedicated or shared environments, all available as well. Connect those together, put those in your hands as local admins, and you guys can go off to the races with them. Next one there, Tom. Thanks. What applications don't work? So, hey, anything with that have trouble in terminal services, and surprisingly, there's a number of little teeny applications that simply don't play nice in the terminal services, and a lot of you folks already know what those are. Anything that's in heavily graphics-based that like running full AutoCAD, video editing, Adobe Illustrator with complex graphics. Some custom applications, we find that some of our users have designed and written their own software that doesn't work well in the terminal services environment. Also we have some other applications that are very specific, like there's trouble with voice recognition software like Dragon. It doesn't play nice. It needs to have more of a dedicated workstation. Plus, their licensing requires it. So, if there's any kind of licensing that the owner of the software has to deal with in a multi-tenancy like a terminal service environment, you have to address those issues as well. However, that's a pretty small segment of the population. It's very little, very small slice. What we find is that over 5,200 applications are already virtualized and work within a Citrix knowledge base and easily deployed in our platform. The next one there, Tom. So the pricing, this is basically you get that you get the virtual machines for Cloud Nations, and you're looking at anywhere from $197 on up for a VM on a monthly basis. There's no long-term commitment. You're running you pay month to month, and then same thing with SQL servers, dedicated shares, also $250 a month and on up. Includes all the Microsoft and Citrix licensing rolled into it. You don't have to buy any of it. It's all month-to-month rental, if you would, of that product. You resellers stage up the VMs and test them with your line of business applications, and then you deploy those through the applications into the Cloud Nation delivery platform. Next one, Tom. So the margins, we think that there's great opportunity here. The model that we have put together is so flexible and so easy for you to do what we call one-to-one comparisons when your customer's decisions. So one of the things that we found over the last couple of years when we're resellers deploying and selling these products with end users is that they need to be able to understand, well, I'm taking something on-premise like my server and moving it into the cloud. So you need pricing comparison for that. So if I'm going to spend $4,500 on a higher-end Dell server, and I'm only spending $200 a month on the hosted version, and I get a whole bunch more to it, the customer can see the value. And then, same thing with seats and all the costs that go in with that. And we'll walk through that, how that works. And you then can draw a direct line of support for your line of business applications, so those margins will still stay in there for you, and then you maintain that service and support revenues. So we move that down to the next one there, Tom. Okay, so as a reseller, you're going to prepare your apps. You're going to test them and validate them within your solution using some test user accounts. Your clients then are made available through, your applications are going to be made available through a virtual desktop delivered through our cloud environment. You as the reseller are going to manage that. You're going to manage the billing, you're going to manage the connectivity, you're going to manage the provisioning, and it's all going to be white labeled under your name. Let's go to the next one. Okay, so finally, a little bit about our platform. Geo-redundant data centers in 4 different time zones. Reduces latency so you can connect in and out of the environments and be able to have a pretty nice, what we call a customer experience. Move on to the next one there, Tom. And then we'll customize that portal. So, Tom, you want to talk a little bit about how this billing process works and, and quoting, and you and I can go back and forth on talking about how they would actually work up the cost estimates and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically within the portal, you see the light blue header there that says your branding here. And we'll actually, in just a minute, we'll actually go into this portal and we'll show you how it looks and how the wholesale pricing looks and how you can come up with quotes very easily. But basically what we do is we provide you with your own white label program that you can brand, and it not only includes a menu of kind of what I'll call stock offerings, but it's in here that you can also add things like line of business applications, things like that. So basically this, as a reseller or member of Cloud Nation, this would be what you would present to your clients. And what we'll do right here is we'll actually bounce into this environment, and so you can kind of see how that in fact looks for you. So in this case, what we've done is, you can see right up here is we've got Cloud Nation as a header up here, and of course you can do whatever is appropriate, whatever you'd like to do here. But this right here represents basically wholesale pricing. And so this would be a way that you could easily come up with a quote for your client as it relates to how much it's going to be on a monthly basis. And again, the beautiful thing here is that there's no long-term contracts. This is all on a month-to-month basis. And what you provide within your virtual desktop is, or any of these applications, we handle the licensing, we deliver it to you on a wholesale level, and you get to set your own pricing. So in this case, let's go to the V-Desktop right here. And let's say your client's got 11 employees.
10.
So
Let's
here
do
you
10.
would add what's that?
Let's do 10.
Let's do 10.
Sorry,
10 then.
Because it leads right into the next example on the pricing, so 10's the good number.
Sure. So here we've got 10 users, and this is $355 on a monthly basis. And again, one thing to keep in mind is with your virtual desktop comes security and complete VDR. Let's just say that we want to offer Microsoft Standard to our client. Let's just say that we want to offer Exchange. And let's say that we want to come down here and have a company drive for a file share, and we offer that 10 gigabytes at a time. So let's just say we want to get 100 gigabytes. Okay. So now we can look down here and see on a wholesale basis. In other words, this would be your cost to providing all those services to your client on a monthly basis.
Hey Tom, can you do also a favor there and click on the one right below the storage? It says Microsoft Server 2008 server there, 4 gigabytes.
Right here?
Yep. Okay, we'll just leave that as one. We'll just leave that as one, and that should do it. And it shows a total down there of what was that, $807.40.
Do you want me to hit the subscribe?
Yeah, yeah. And so what that does is what that will do for the reseller. So Tom and I, as you guys walk through this here, is it'll show the checkout options and then all the components there. But the idea here is to give you a link to start doing on-the-fly pricing comparisons, so that if you want to be able to take these pricing and then mark them up to whatever you feel fit, and deliver it out to your customer. And then if you don't like that structure, you change it. But this is also how you provision and get started this thing. So you would enter in your information, your billing information. You'd say go, and then all these credentials for these things are sent out to you directly.
Excellent. Thanks. So let's bounce back in here. Here we go. So Robert, maybe you can kind of go into the examples of the revenue generation here and just kind of go through this slide, if you will.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. So, so there's basically the 4 or 5 components that are important here. Is that your virtual desktops are delivered out. $35.50 is the wholesale price, and we had an example of 10. And that includes all the bandwidth, the Citrix licensing, the RDP connection, all of the stuff that's necessary to connect in there and to have a great experience. It's a fantastic and very economical delivery model. Your server, this particular one's a 4 gig server. You can scale it up, scale it down. We go all the way to 16 or even larger if you need something bigger. So it's 197. Microsoft Office Standard, Exchange, the 100 gig. And then notice here it says line of business applications. There's no additional charge because you take control of that server, that 4 gig server, and you're loading on it what you want. Those things come with another 50 gig of hardware, hard drive space for you to load applications and to run on them. So you can load up as many as you need on there to get that thing spun up. And then your wholesale charge is $107.40 in this particular example. You can add 20% to it, you can add 50% to it, you can double it, whatever you feel is necessary. But remember, this is month to month. So if they need 12 users the next day, next month, and you can just increase the first line and the Office and the Exchange, and then you can drop it down to 8 the following month, or you can run it up to 50 the next one. If you need to scale up or scale down your server and capacity because you feel it needs to run a little better and a little bit more room, you can do that as well. You can change that month to month. This is really a super flexible environment. And then you can see the annual revenue there that would go to the reseller of almost $2,000 in just a 10 employee piece. This is not discounting also your service revenues of just being able to support and manage that server and being able to tweak it and do the things that you need to do with it as well. So we believe that these type of, everybody we've walked through with this type of presentation, they go, wow, this is way better than we had hoped for when it comes to just flexibility and configurations and deliverability. So that's good stuff, Tom.
So maybe what I'll do is I'll walk a little bit into the way that we've set up our billing here. And really from the beginning, what we looked at this and we said, what do our members, what do the MSPs and the resellers, what do they need to do business the way that they want to do business? And what we found was that when it comes to billing, some of our members, quite frankly, they are really looking for kind of the full meal deal where they go in and they sign up the client, that as a company, we as Cloud Nation, we handle all the billing, and this takes place on a monthly basis, and our member then receives 1 check per month, and everything else is taken care of. Alternatively, we've got other clients that absolutely don't want that. They really want to own their own billing. They want to be able to combine the billing for the monthly subscription solutions as well as the services that they're providing all into one invoice, and that's how they want to handle it. So what we've done is we've set it up so that we have full service billing and member billing. And on the full service, again, we take care of everything, and we send our members a check once a month for whatever they've decided that they want to build in for their margins. And then with the member billing is what we do is we provide those solutions and those services to our members on a monthly basis, on a wholesale basis, and then once a month simply provide them with a bill, and then they bill their client and basically keep the difference. So when we first looked at creating an ecosystem or a platform, and we spent a lot of time talking to many of you, bottom line is what we realized is that technology was really important, but we really needed to create an entire ecosystem. And where I'm going with that is our members told us that they needed initial training and certification. So what we've done is we've created an entire Cloud Essentials curriculum that's about 10 courses designed to take about 8 hours, and it really helps our members to get a good foundation to basically arm them with the tools necessary to be able to walk in and talk to a small or medium-sized business and talk intelligently, not just about the offering, but about the cloud in general. You know, talk about total cost of ownership, talk about what are the alternatives, talk about security, talk about all the things that your client is going to want to talk about. We also wanted to build into it, and the feedback was very strong, that technology, as we know it, is a process, not a destination. And so what we heard over and over again was that our members wanted advanced level training and certification. And so as an example, right now we're working on curriculum for certified data migration specialist, certified cloud engineer, certified cloud security specialist that we provide to our members. We've got the complete access to our cloud solutions platform, which we went through just a little tiny piece of. Complete access to our community portal, which depending on how much time we have, we might bounce in there and take a quick look. And then we also offer complete ongoing sales and marketing support. And what we mean with this is that we've created a suite of postcards, brochures, slide decks. We deliver a white paper once a month to our members that's customized and branded for them that they can go out and provide to clients and prospects. As an example, the one that we're working on right now is an overview of BYOD, or bring your own device. And this goes through, you know, how our members can deliver it, what our clients are looking for, some of the things that the clients, that the SMBs should look to initiate within their organization to keep control of the BYOD. We kind of go through it from soup to nuts. But again, we work on a different issue with our white paper every single month and deliver it to our members. So again, this is kind of the ecosystem that we've created for our resellers, our members, so that you can go out and easily sell and be equipped with all the tools that you need to do business as a cloud solutions provider. The next thing is our certification. Here you see the Cloud Nation Certified Professional. Not only do we provide the Cloud Essentials training, we certify our members. We ask that they're certified before they go out and sell Cloud Nation, just to maintain a level of professionalism. And then actually at the end of Q1, we are going to be launching a member directory that would allow our members to be found wherever they are in whatever city they're in. So as an example, if I'm a small or medium-sized business and I'm in Vero Beach, Florida, and I wanted to find a Cloud Nation certified professional, what you could do is go into the directory and find the nearest professional in your area. From a standpoint of how we structured this, you know, this Cloud Nation was basically born out of SMB Nation. We spent the last 10 years serving the channel. And so when we looked at creating Cloud Nation, obviously it was important to us right out of the gate to differentiate ourselves by being 100% channel focused. We don't sell to small or medium-sized businesses. If we get a lead from a small or medium-sized business, we give it to the closest and most appropriate member. We set up Cloud Nation so our members set their own prices and they own their own clients. We designed the portal from the ground up to provide initial and ongoing support to help our members maximize profits and to grow their businesses with all the tools that they need in one place. So what does it take to become a member is we have a one-time initiation fee of $29.95. That membership includes full access to our portal, initial and ongoing training, and certification, sales and marketing support, and a dedicated client success advisor. We have it doesn't say it on this slide, but we have that's the initiation fee. Then after the first year, we have an annual fee of $495, and we've set that up so that if our members meet a minimum amount of sales, which is essentially about 2 clients with 10 people each, that we waive that maintenance fee moving forward. And then I think on the next slide what we've tried to do is we've tried to show how does this really fit in as an ROI. In other words, you say, well, you know, $29.95, that's my investment. What does it take for me to get an ROI or return on my investment? Basically what we did is we kind of laid it out here and we said if your average client was 10 people and the average revenue per client on an annual basis, in this case, was about $2,000, basically what you need to do is you need to bring in 1.5 clients your first year, and then obviously the next year it goes down to either 0 or $495. And our take on what we're seeing right now is that it's fairly easy to bring in 2 clients with an average of 10 desktops each. The last thing before we bounce into Q&A is, again, my name is Tom Poole. My telephone number and my email are right there. You know, whether it's me or Robert that you have a question of, Robert's email is very easy as well. And just take out the Tom and put in Robert. So it's robert@cloudnation.co. We're really here to answer questions, and what we find is the more questions that our prospects or our members ask, the more comfortable they get. So I would encourage any of our listeners today to take the step, reach out to us. We're happy to set up a call to go in and kind of take a deep dive on our technology and answer whatever either business or technical questions that you've got. So with that being said, it's what time is it? It's about 10:40. We've left a little bit of time here for questions and answers, and so maybe what I'll do is I'll bounce it over to Jenny Hallmark and see if we've got any questions.
We do not have any questions at this time, Tom.
Okay.
Oh,
you know what? We
just had one come in, and hopefully we'll get quite a few more in. But the first question, how many clients do you currently have?
I'm sorry, you cut out. How many clients do we currently have?
Yes.
Hello? I think Jenny asked how many clients do we currently have, and the reality is, again, we don't have clients, we have members, and basically what we did is we launched on January 8th. We've got a handful of members that have already signed up, and we've got about between free trials, white papers, and people that have attended our webinars. We've got quite a few, over 400 people that are interested in what we're doing and we're talking to currently. I think that was the question.
Perfect.
Are you still there, Jenny?
Yep. If customers already have Office 365, can it be implemented with this?
That's a good question. Probably more of a Robert question. Robert,
Sure,
you want
Tom.
to take that one?
Yeah. The way that Microsoft is structured Office 365 is that it does not operate within a RDP, Terminal Services environment. This was I don't know if it was intentional or accidental, but they basically did not put in the technology to allow you to re-authenticate the licensing of Office 365 when you, let's say, restart the server one of the things about VMs is you restart them all the time. You may do it 20 times in a day while you're doing your proof of concepts. That, in effect, basically voided the 5-time max restarts that a Office 365 would have. So the answer is no. We're actually working very closely with the Office divisions, et cetera, and that is the single highest request within their environment from all of the service providers, not just us. So today that answer is no.
Great.
Any other questions, Jenny?
Where are the centers located?
The centers are located in 4 separate time zones. One's in Irvine, California. The other one is in Denver. The third is in Chicago, and the fourth is just outside of Washington, D.C. in a place called Ashburn.
At this time, that's all the questions that we have for today.
Very good. Well, listen, we'll stay on for another 2 or 3 minutes, and if there are any questions, please feel comfortable asking them. Also, again, you've got my email right on your screen, and Robert's email is robert@cloudnation.co. And I would just encourage anyone with any questions, if you'd like to take those offline, to reach out to us directly. We thank you very much for joining us today. Within the next 2 days, probably, we will have a PDF of today's presentation emailed directly to you. If you have any questions after that, let us know. And if there are no further questions, I guess what we'll do is we'll close it down. Again, thank you so much for joining us today, and we look forward to having you join us on subsequent webinars.